NFL Week 11. It's here. That means it's time for some NFL picks on a Wednesday night. What's going on, homies? What's going on, BLV? It's Mitch here live for my straight up and spread picks for every NFL game for Week 11 of the 2023 NFL season. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the damn like button. Subscribe if you haven't already for weekly NFL picks as well as best bets, which will come out later tonight. Let's take a look at how I did last week. So, the record 10-4. Straight up on the week, and we actually went 8-4 versus the spread as well. So really successful week last week, both in terms of the spread and straight up. Straight up record for the season, 96, which was the year I was born, and 54. Spread record, 87, 59, and 4. Our over-under record is 84, 64, and 3. We have some awesome matchups this week. Cannot wait for week number 11. It is one of those weeks, I will say, that is difficult for bets. Like, I didn't look at the board this week and say, oh, there's clear value here and there. Actually, the value faded pretty quick, it felt like. I was going to bet the Steelers at +4, and then all of a sudden Deshaun Watson's ruled out, and it goes to -1. So we'll talk about that throughout the games and get to our picks. But let me know in the comments section what your picks are for each and every matchup for week number 11. Let's say hello to the people in the chat first. We've got Singh, who says, hello, Mitch. What's going on, Mr. Singh? What's going on to Jordan Hunter, the guitar-loving team? We've got Harley Quinn herself in the chat. And she says, great jersey. Thank you, Harley. Go Canucks, go. Big Al says, what up, what up, what up, Big Al? How you doing, bro? Supreme Science, what's going on, bro? What else we got? We got Marcus in the chat. He says, on to the bye week. Yes, a very, very nice bye week for the New England Patriots. We love to see it. We love to welcome a bye week this year for the New England Patriots. Can the rest of the season be a bye week? I may ask that question. Please get back to me on that. Let's start on Thursday Night Football. Let's waste no more time, man. Let's get to it. Thursday Night Football. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals. Last week, the Bungles taking on the Baltimore Ravens, who have yet to learn how to hold on to a fourth quarter lead. Will they do that? Will they do it? I don't know. We will see. The spread is 3.5. We have a couple big injuries for both sides on Thursday night. T. Higgins ruled out for the offense of the Bengals. Sam Hubbard ruled out for the defense of the Bengals. On the other side, we've got Ronnie Stanley, left tackle of the Ravens, ruled out. We also have, on the defensive side, their number one corner, Marlon Humphrey, ruled out. So some big injuries on Thursday Night Football. My read of this game is, I think it could go either way. I think this is going to be a field goal game either way, so I will take the points with the Cincinnati Bengals. I also feel like they could win this game. I have a weird suspicion they could win this game, but it's also hard for me to see Baltimore laying an egg at home in the fourth quarter 2 weeks in a row. I do think that Baltimore without Ronnie Stanley is a different offense. I do think that T. Higgins not being out there for the Bengals offense is a different offense. I think both offenses will be impacted. I think it will help both defenses. I could see it going either way, man. I'm leaning towards the Ravens at home. Just think they've overall been the better team. And I think the biggest difference for me is the Bengals defense. They've been up and down and all around. And it really feels like a unit that is relying on turnovers, relying on big plays, situational football, red zone, third down. Without Sam Hubbard, their run defense definitely struggled against the Texans. I think the Ravens could take advantage of that. And I feel like, again, it could go either way. I like the Ravens at home. I don't think they lose 2 straight at home to 2 divisional opponents. And although they did beat them already, I don't think that the Bengals are going to take one in this series. I could be wrong. One thing that scares me about the Bengals is the interior pressure by Madubuike and company of the Ravens. I think the Texans had a really good game plan last week from DeMeco Ryans in that defensive front, and I think that's something that McDonald and this Ravens defense could replicate with some of their interior pass rushers. Ravens play a very smart style of defense. They disguise their coverages very well, and they know how to play Joe Burrow and put a cap on this offense. So even without Marlon Humphrey, I do think they're going to give the Bengals all that they can really, hold and handle here. So I'm leaning Ravens to win by a field goal, Bengals to cover. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals won this game as an underdog, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Next up, Trey Hendrickson is playing, Big Al. Sunday, the Detroit Lions, -7.5 at home versus the Chicago Bears. This spread was like 9.5 or 9. It's since moved down drastically due to mostly the news that Justin Fields will be the quarterback for the Bears. But I don't know if that's really like a 2-point move. In my opinion, it's not. Like, I don't think Tyson Bagent has been that much worse than Justin Fields, especially as a passer. And when you think about the Lions defense, they're good against the run, and they struggle with rhythm precision passing. I don't think Justin Fields, that's his game at all. You look back to last year, the Lions beat the Bears at home, I think like 40-7 in January. It was like really bad. So I'm leaning towards Detroit -7.5. I've heard some smart people go on the Bears this week with the points at 8, 8.5, 9. But I feel like at 7.5, the only value here is on the Lions. I think the Lions are the much better team. They're at home. They're not a team that's known to take their foot off the gas. They seem to take care of business when it's offered up to them. The Bears are good against the run, so I do feel this is going to have to come from Jared Goff and his right arm, but he's proven this year he can do that. Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra, of course. Gibbs, Montgomery, I like that combination. Maybe Gibbs out of the backfield doing some work over the middle of the field. But I think if the Lions get a lead here, force Justin Fields to become a drop-back passer, I think there could be some issues for the Bears if they're behind early. If the Bears are able to come out and get a lead, though, I think all bets are off because the Lions' defense certainly looks shaky. I just feel like a lot of it is the opponent. When they've played Seattle, they've played Los Angeles, they've played Baltimore. Those are good, legit quarterbacks with good, legit offenses. I'm not sure if I would put the Bears in that category. Maybe they backdoor this. It is a divisional game, but I'm going to go Detroit to win, Detroit to cover in this one. I feel like maybe at 9, 8.5, I would have taken the Bears. 7.5, I'm going Lions on the spread. Next up, the Steelers and the Browns. Harley acting like I don't almost always pick the Lions. Unbelievable. Steelers and the Brownies. This one it feels tricky, man, honestly. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the rookie, is going to be the starting quarterback, apparently. Kind of confused as to why it's not PJ Walker, but the only thing that came to mind here is maybe, just maybe, the Browns feel like even if they go through a little bit of struggle with the rookie, that he has a higher ceiling for this offense. He's capable of more. He's capable of playmaking. He's capable of making plays that PJ Walker isn't. Perhaps that's why they're going with the rookie. But a rookie quarterback versus Mike Tomlin is not a situation you really want to throw a rookie quarterback into. This Steelers defense can rush the quarterback. The Steelers defense basically won this game the first time around because TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith went absolutely off in the game, and the Steelers couldn't move the ball. I don't even think they got the ball inside the red zone the entire game, and they won the game, which is something I don't know if I've ever said in my life about an NFL matchup. So I actually could see the Browns winning this game even with the switch at quarterback because the Browns defense was that dominant in the first matchup versus the Pittsburgh offense. But I think the Pittsburgh offense has evolved. I think the offensive line has gotten better. I think their running game has gotten drastically better. They're running the football. Their receiver position with Pickens and Deontay Johnson, and I don't believe Deontay Johnson played in the first matchup. They can make some plays. I feel like as long as Pickett doesn't turn this over, They can stay in this game, rush the quarterback, get after the young Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And I feel like with Cam Hayward back in there, they can stop the run of the Browns a bit better than they did the first time around, which was a real struggle for them. That was the game that Nick Chubb actually got injured for the season, unfortunately. I'm leaning towards the Steelers just because it's a spot where Mike Tomlin's playing a young, inexperienced quarterback, and I like the Steelers' defense in that scenario, but I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not going to make it a best bet. I wouldn't be shocked at home if the Browns actually upset the Steelers here, just because of how good their defense can be and how many turnovers they can create. So I'm going to go Steelers to win, Steelers to cover, but I'm not confident about it necessarily. Next up, we've got the Arizona Cardinals at the Houston Texans. If you guys haven't already, make sure you do Gronk spike the like button. Make sure those likes are up so that every other NFL fan just like you can find this channel, can subscribe, and can build our BLV community and join us on this journey. Gronk spike the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. The Arizona Cardinals at the Houston Texans. I'm going with the Texans here. They're at home. Stroud's been lights out at home this year. The 5, I will say, is kind of tricky because the Cardinals are that type of team that could cover this with Kyler Murray making plays. But the one thing that makes me go with the Texans here is, in terms of the spread, is the pass rush. Like, I was really impressed with the Texans' defensive line against the Bengals on the road. I think at home, that only kind of gets to a deeper level of an advantage. And it feels like DeMeco Ryans has figured something out with that side of the ball and with that pass rush and what he's doing up front. Derek Stingley being back also really helps match up with some of these better receivers like a Marquise Brown. Kyler Murray can be tricky though. He can make plays. He can create. He's a playmaker. He will keep them in the game for at least a portion here. But I just feel like this offense of the Texans is clicking at an elite level. I'm not just saying they're a good offense. They're playing like an elite offense. I think the Texans will be able to run the ball like they did last week against this Cardinals defense that's not good against the run. I think that will open up play action shots down the field. CJ Stroud will be comfortable versus a team that really has to blitz to create pressure. I think Nico Collins could be back in the lineup, which will only help. But Noah Brown and Tank Dell have been phenomenal, as well as Dalton Schultz. I just feel like the Texans are the much better team. They're at home. They even have the better quarterback here at this point. And, you know, the Texans look like a legitimate team. I'm going to ride them. I think they win by 6, 7, maybe 10 points. So I think they cover the spread. As long as this is under 6, I'm taking the Texans to cover this number and to win this game at home. Next up. Oh, last point on the Texans. They officially sold me with their last week performance. You know, it takes me some time to buy into these teams that have been bad for years and young quarterbacks. You know, I love CJ Stroud. I've said it many times, but like it takes time for me to officially buy in. I'm officially bought in with that performance. Everything is coming together for the Texans. I think they're the best team in their division right now. I said that on the power rankings. I believe it. Dallas Cowboys at the Carolina Panthers. Dallas is minus 10.5. I'm going with Dallas here. Dallas to win, Dallas to cover. Carolina's really bad. Like, I don't care. This is a lot of points. It's on the road. Dallas hasn't been good on the road. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. They weren't good on the road against the Eagles and the 49ers. The Carolina Panthers aren't on the same universe, planet, solar system as the 49ers and Philadelphia Eagles. Give me Dallas to win. Give me Dallas to cover. Dak is playing lights out. Some people at ESPN are calling him MVP. I think this is where Tony Pollard, I've said it for a couple weeks now, but if there's any spot to get Tony Pollard going, it's this game. The Panthers are one of the worst teams versus the run in the NFL. They'll be able to run the ball, open up Dak Prescott throwing bombs down the field, and will anyone be able to cover CeeDee Lamb? Absolutely not. On the other side of the ball, I just think this Dallas speed and the Dallas defense will overwhelm Bryce Young. I'm actually kind of confused why this number is not like 13.5, 14. Like, I understand Dallas isn't at home, but this should be a 2-touchdown spread. Like, this is too low. Dallas is a dominant team, especially against teams that are lesser. They will dominate this game. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Green Bay Packers. This feels like a tricky spot for the Los Angeles Chargers, but they need this game really badly. They're one game below 500. If they lose this game, they're in trouble of missing the playoffs, which I thought they would before the year, but I'm just saying, like, they have a quarterback, they have the expectation of getting to the playoffs with that roster, that team, all of it. Brandon Staley's got to be looking over his shoulder to see if he's going to get fired at any moment. I feel like the Chargers have to win this game, therefore they will win this game. I think Justin Herbert will carry. The Packers defense doesn't give me enough faith, enough juice, to really trust them even at home in this spot. I am a little bit worried about a West Coast team going to Green Bay in the cold potentially. There is some points to be a little bit worried about, but ultimately I feel like Herbert's the way better quarterback. Jordan Love worries me. He is just not good. And the Chargers defense against bad quarterbacks have played well. And I would categorize Jordan Love as a bad quarterback, right? When you look at who they've given up points to, Kirk Cousins, Tua, who else? Jared Goff. Like, the good quarterbacks in this league, they've conceded 40, 30 points. Mahomes. But against bad quarterbacks, right? Tyson Bagent, Zach Wilson, Jordan Love will be another one of those. I do feel the Packers will be able to run the ball a bit. So I do think they'll get into like the 17 to 20 range. But I feel like Justin Herbert will be able to put up 27 on the Packers. So I'm going to go Chargers to win, Chargers to cover. Probably not going to be a best bet because it feels like a tough spot. But I'm going to go Chargers to win, Chargers to cover. Next up, the New York G-Men at the Washington Commanders. I like the Commanders to win, the Commanders to cover. It's Tommy DeVito, Sopranos character here. He's not getting the job done. He is terrible. I mean, can you count on the Giants to score 10 points? Honestly, even against the Commanders, can you count on it? I don't know if you can. I'm taking the G-Men to win. The G-Men to lose, the G-Men to get slaughtered, and Washington's offense is legitimately very good. Sam Howell has played really good football as of late. Sam Howell's playing explosive football. He's creating plays out of structure. These receivers are talented. I think the Commanders win 24 to 10. So I'm going to go Washington to win, Washington to cover. Next, Tennessee at the Jacksonville Jags. Jacksonville favored by 7. Jacksonville's not as good, I feel like, as a lot of people think. I moved them outside of my top 10 in my power rankings. Despite their record, I don't think they're a top 10 team. I think their defense is better than they showed against the Niners. I think the Niners offense is just that good when they're fully healthy. They can stop the run effectively, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Will Levis. And I feel like ultimately at home, they should get the job done here. Trevor Lawrence should also be able to take advantage of his receiver matchups versus the secondary of Tennessee. But the last time we saw this matchup in Jacksonville, it was decided by a one-possession game. And that was the game where Josh Dobbs walked on for the Titans and played on a short week against Jacksonville with the playoffs on the line and the division on the line. And Jacksonville's offense really struggled in that game. I feel like there's something to this matchup. I think the Titans make this really close. I think this is going to be like a 24-20 type of game. So give me Jacksonville to win, Titans to cover the spread. This could potentially be on the best bets column. Divisional game. I like the points for the Titans. Will Levis also capable of making big shots down the field and explosive throws. Wouldn't even be shocked if the Titans upset Jacksonville here. Wouldn't be shocked. But Jacksonville should be able to bounce back after a loss. So I'll take them to win, Titans to cover. Next, New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Bills favored by 7 points here. I'm going with the Bills to win because they have to. If they don't win, if they get swept by the Jets, I don't know what I'll do with myself. I don't know what they'll do with themselves. I think Sean McDermott has to be fired at that point. I don't understand why Dorsey was the only one to be fired. It should have been all of them. See ya, McDermott. See ya, Dorsey. I talked about it at length on the NFL review show. So check that out if you haven't already, especially if you're a Bills fan. I'm probably going to release that rant at some point, probably on Friday or something. But Buffalo Bills are the better team. Buffalo Bills are at home. That's the sell factor for me. They already lost one game to the Jets, and it was on the back of like 4 turnovers, at least 3, so I feel like the Jets only won because of a punt return in overtime and 3 or 4 picks. That was also the game that Aaron Rodgers got hurt on like the second play of the game. I think Allen just ultimately takes over and wins this game, but the Jets defense will make it interesting, and the Bills defense will make it interesting because they stink. The Bills defense is arguably the worst in the NFL right now. They rank 32nd in EPA since week 5. The Jets have proven they can run the ball against teams that can't stop the run. I think running the ball will be a factor here for the Jets. I think Zach Wilson will be able to make some throws in the game. And you always got to be aware of the special teams in matchups like this. The Jets seem to have that edge. I think that the Jets will make this really interesting. Last year, even in Buffalo, they made it 20-12, an 8-point game. So same quarterbacks. I think the Bills are an overall worse team. I think the Jets cover, but the Bills win. Next up, Seahawks at the LA Rams. Seahawks favored by a point. This is another tricky game. I think the sexy pick of the week is going to be taking Matthew Stafford back from injury at home over the Seahawks. Sean McVay does kind of own the Seattle Seahawks, and he's also coming off of a bye. So that's something to heavily consider in this matchup. They destroyed the Seahawks in the first game. But can you really expect the Rams to win both of these matchups? I'm not. I'm not expecting the Rams to sweep the Seahawks. I think you've got to take the more talented team here to at least make it a 1-1 split in this division matchup. So I'm going to take Seattle to win this game, Seattle to cover this game in LA. I think Geno Smith has a bounce back performance in terms of against the Rams. And I feel like the Seahawks will be able to run the ball. I think they'll be able to run the ball, and I think they'll be able to rush the quarterback. I think their secondary is playing really well, and they'll be able to match up with the Rams better than most teams. And I think that will buy them some time to get to the quarterback and cause some issues, some pressure for Matthew Stafford and potentially a game-changing turnover. I also think that Kenneth Walker will likely have a big day here. Tyler Lockett's playing really well too. So I think the Seahawks will win this game, find a way to win it in the end. It won't be pretty. It will be down to the last possession, but Seahawks will win. Guys, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We've got 70 people in here, only 18 likes. Let's get those likes up, guys. All right, where was I? Next up, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers favored by 11.5. The 49ers are back. They will win this game. And honestly, I lean towards them covering. This is a big number, 11.5. But the Niners at home, they just run away with games when they're better than you. Like, they just do. I feel like, you could really try to do the mental gymnastics of like, the Bucs defense is kind of good. The Bucs offense, Baker's making plays, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I'm not going to do that, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say this. The Niners killed the Bucs last year. That was with Tom Brady. I think the Niners have a very good handle in terms of Kyle Shanahan playing Todd Bowles' defensive scheme. I think that the Niners are just going to have a field day with the play action in this game. Like, I feel like the Niners are getting the 30. And I don't necessarily feel like the Bucs on the road are going to get to 20. So it's going to be something like 31-17, where the Niners win by 14 points. Bucs put up an effort. I just don't think with the way that pass rush of the Niners is playing. You think about the infrastructure of the Niners, right? If they get a lead early, which I think they will, they'll take the ball, they'll go down, they'll score. It'll be 7-0. And then ultimately, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, those guys are going to tee off on Baker Mayfield. Baker's going to be running for his life. And the Niners are going to run the ball eventually in the fourth quarter. And I just think it's a really tough matchup for the Bucs ultimately. So I think the Niners win this game. The Niners cover this game and continue to put an exclamation point on, we're back. Okay, don't forget it. All right. Next, the Las Vegas Raiders at the Miami Dolphins. Miami favored by 13.5. This is a ridiculous number considering that the Las Vegas Raiders are a 5-5 football team. Like, consider that for a second. They're 5-5, guys. And Miami is laying 13.5 at home. But honestly, it feels like Miami will cover this. It does. I think Miami will win for sure. It's just a matter of will they cover. They're at home. They should be healthier coming out of this game. They're dominant at home. They put up a lot of points at home. They're coming off a disappointing offensive game against Kansas City. I think they take out their frustrations on the Raiders here. I think the Raiders defense, they've been playing well, but when you really think about it, you look back at that Jets game, I felt like the Jets offense kind of moved the ball. It was just a matter of penalties, turnovers, Zach Wilson, things like that. I think Miami's going to put up 34, 38 points here. Like, I really do. And I don't think the Raiders are going to be able to keep up. Like, the way the Raiders need to play now with Aiden O'Connell, they need to run the ball. They need to be able to, get the ball to Devontae Adams. And you think about Miami's defense. They've gotten better against the run. Jalen Ramsey is in there. Their defense is healthy in the secondary. They'll be able to match up with the weapons, Jacoby Myers. You got Xavier Howard on one side. You've got Jalen Ramsey on the other side with Devontae Adams out there. I just feel like Miami, home game, off a bye, Mike McDaniel, Tua, a little bit angry, a little bit motivated to get back on track offensively. This is a spot they put up 30, 35 points. And I just don't think the Raiders are going to be able to match it. Maybe they backdoor this one. Obviously, I won't be betting this game. It's just too big of a number. But if I'm picking it, I'm going Miami to win, Miami to cover. It's moved up for a reason, and it's because Miami is super explosive at home. Next, Sunday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings at the Denver Broncos. Denver favored by 2.5. I really don't know what to do with this game. Honestly, I want to go with the Vikings. My first guess is the Vikings. And the reason I say that is I feel like Brian Flores is the X factor here. Brian Flores' ability to stop the run of the Broncos and pressure Russell Wilson, I think, is ultimately the difference. The Vikings have low-key had a top 5 defense since like week 4. And that is insane considering the talent they have on this roster. But that's been the case. Now, the Vikings are a different team on the road. But you've got to think about the Pastronaut. Is Justin Jefferson going to be back here? I think he might be back in this game. That's going to be a huge boost if he is. If he is, that's probably ultimately the deciding factor, because as good as Pat Surtain is, I don't even think he can cover Justin Jefferson one-on-one. I feel like the Vikings, they'll just find more ways, I think, to move the ball. Maybe I'm wrong. But I like the Vikings, the way that they match up on defense with their run defense and their pressure package against Denver. That is kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Broncos will win. I'm not betting it. I think it could go either way. There's still kind of the jury out on Josh Dobbs with the Vikings. I just really like how they coach. I really like their scheme on offense. I really love Kevin O'Connell's play calling. Josh Dobbs' feet are a real factor. And I think the Broncos, coming off a huge win at Buffalo on a short week, going back home, I think that is a factor for me as well. So I'm going to take the Vikings to win. They feel like more of a real team to me than Denver. I'm going to take the Vikings to win. Obviously, give me the 2.5 points in a really close game that could go either way. And I'm expecting it to be low scoring. Monday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs. Travis Kelce versus Jason Kelce. The Kelce Bowl. Super Bowl rematch. Chiefs at home. The kingdom will be lit. I'm going with the Chiefs to win. The Chiefs to cover. Why? I like the way the Chiefs match up with the Eagles. We obviously saw not just a glimpse, but a big offering of it in the Super Bowl. We saw Philadelphia's offense play extremely well, and you could argue that at that time, the Eagles were the better team, and they kind of found a way to lose, right, with some help from the refs. But now you take away the neutral field. Okay, so this game's in Kansas City. Andy Reid's off a bye week, 21-3 off a bye week. Andy Reid used to be the coach of the Eagles. Big motivation factor even still after beating them in a Super Bowl. This is what I like about the matchup. The Chiefs' defense has really solid linebacker play. Now, Nick Bolton's going to be out, but I still like their linebackers. I still think that their front seven is playing really well. And I love how Spags will game plan for the Eagles. I loved how they game planned for the Eagles' run game in that Super Bowl. And really, it took a Jalen Hurts masterclass to potentially win that game. And I just feel like the Chiefs' pass defense this year is so much better than last year. Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, the way they're covering, no Dallas Goedert, who was really, really good in that Super Bowl game, if you recall. I think the Chiefs can dabble in man coverage in this game, try to blitz, without Shane Steichen as well, right? Shane Steichen was a big reason I think the Eagles game plan so well offensively. This year, they don't have that guy. This is a real test on the road against a really, really good defense that I think has a good understanding of how to stop their run game, cover guys to actually match up with the Eagles receivers, and without Dallas Goedert, that makes it that much easier. And then on the other side, this is an Eagles defense that doesn't play man coverage, so they're not really going to, I think, get in the face of the Chiefs receivers. And this is how Rex Ryan used to put it playing Tom Brady. When you play man coverage against a Mahomes or a Tom Brady, right? And these you're playing the receivers. You're not playing the system, and you're not playing especially the quarterback. So if you're playing zone coverage against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, even these lousy receivers of the Chiefs will find ways to get open, especially with a week to prepare for Andy Reid, that extra week. So you got Patrick Mahomes getting the ball out quick, avoiding the pass rush, and then if they have that pass rush, the Chiefs' strength of their offense is their offensive line and Mahomes' ability to buy time and avoid the pass rush. So I just love the way the Chiefs match up here. At home, defense versus the Eagles' offense. Spags' aggressive nature of his defense. Spags preparing for the Eagles. Chiefs' offense, quick, short passing game against zone coverage. If you can get past the Eagles' pass rush, you can move the ball on the Eagles. We saw that with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. I think the same will happen with Mahomes. I think what everyone's saying after this game is, wow, the Chiefs' offense is back. And I don't necessarily think that will be the case. I just think it's uniquely a good matchup against a good defense. Yeah, the Eagles are normally a good defense. I think they are a solid to good defense. But it's just a bad matchup on paper, in my opinion, because the Chiefs have the offensive line, the Chiefs have the decision maker and the playmaker at quarterback that can decipher and beat this defense. So I'm going Chiefs to win, Chiefs to cover. I'm going to go 28-21 or 24, something like that. I don't think either team gets to the 30s, but I think both teams get to the 20s. And I think the Chiefs will win by about 6-7 points, maybe 4 points, 28-24, something like that. But I'm ultimately going with the Chiefs as the home team, backing Mahomes as a short favorite at home. Those are my picks for week number 11. If you enjoyed, Gronk, spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know in the comment section below your favorite game of the week. Is it the Super Bowl rematch, or maybe it's one that we're not talking enough about? And let me know your picks in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Check out my best bets coming out soon. Peace, guys. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy this week, and good luck on your bets. Peace.